Remember her from Lost in Space? Take a deep breath before you see her today, 2026. Most people remember her as the curious little girl who wandered through alien worlds with the robot close behind. But when I recently saw Angela Cartwright at 73, I realized something. Time hadn't erased Penny Robinson. It had simply revealed the remarkable woman who had been there all along. There's something strange about growing up on television. For millions of viewers, you never really age. You're frozen forever in reruns, smiling from a black and white television screen, wearing the same costume, speaking the same lines. Then one day, a new photograph appears, and everyone suddenly says the same thing. Is that really her? Honestly, I think that's unfair. Because the real story isn't that Angela Cartwright looks different today. The real story is how beautifully she built an entirely different life after Hollywood stopped calling. That's the part that deserves attention. Before she ever climbed aboard the Jupiter 2, Angela was already one of television's busiest child performers. Her family moved from England to Los Angeles when she was only 3 years old. Imagine that. Before most children even start school, she was already learning camera marks, memorizing dialogue, and appearing in television commercials. Acting wasn't something she discovered later. It became part of childhood itself. Then came The Danny Thomas Show. For 7 years, she played Linda Williams, growing up in front of American audiences every single week. I always find that amazing. Most of us look back at family photo albums to remember childhood. Angela can simply turn on classic television. Then 1965 changed everything. Actually, it changed everything twice. In the same year, she joined one of the biggest movie musicals ever made, The Sound of Music. She played Brigitte von Trapp, one of the famous singing children. Filming in Salzburg, Austria, wasn't just another movie set. Years later, she still described it as one of the happiest experiences of her life. At the very same time, another opportunity arrived, a science fiction television series called Lost in Space. Nobody could have guessed that Penny Robinson would become the role people remembered forever. That's one of Hollywood's funny little mysteries. Sometimes the project you least expect becomes the one that follows you for life. Angela later joked that going to work on Lost in Space felt like visiting Disneyland every day. Of course, there was one exception. Those heavy spacesuits. They looked futuristic on television. Apparently they felt anything but comfortable. I laughed when I first heard that. Television magic usually hides a lot of discomfort. One thing the show gave her, though, lasted much longer than 3 seasons. Her friendship with Billy Mumy. Decades later, they're still close. In an industry where friendships often disappear as quickly as television ratings, that's genuinely refreshing. When Lost in Space ended in 1968, many child actors struggled to figure out what came next. Angela kept acting through the 1970s and 1980s. Guest appearances, television work, small projects. But somewhere along the way, she discovered another passion, photography. And this is where her story becomes different from so many former child stars. She didn't spend years chasing the past. She quietly created a brand new future. Instead of waiting for another famous acting role, she built a career behind the camera. She opened her own photography studio in Los Angeles. She taught classes, created artwork, designed clothing and jewelry featuring her own photographs, even wrote books inspired by her experiences in Hollywood. I really admire that kind of reinvention. She wasn't running away from acting. She was simply discovering another side of herself. That's a big difference. Away from Hollywood headlines, another part of her life remained remarkably steady. She married Steve Gullion in 1976. Nearly 5 decades later, they're still together. They raised 2 daughters while Angela quietly built the life she wanted instead of the one people expected. That kind of stability feels increasingly rare in the entertainment world. She never disappeared from fans completely, though. If you've ever attended classic television conventions, you've probably seen Angela smiling for photographs, sharing stories, signing memories that have lasted for generations.